Decimals. Decimals, fractions, and percentages. So in this video, we're going to kind of bring this all together. So say we had a fraction that was 1/2. Well, if we wanted to make it a decimal, right, we would just go 1 divided by 2. Well, 2 can't go into 1, so it would be 0. So we need to add a decimal and a 0. Well, 2 can go into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10. We subtract, we get 0. Bring the decimal straight up, and then our decimal is this 0.5. Then if we need to make it into a percent, we would just multiply it by 100 or move the decimal to the right twice. So we would get then 0.5. So then we move the decimal to right here, and then we get percent. So then we have really 50%. So this is how we represent, right, from fractions to decimals and percentages. And then if we were to go the opposite way, right, we just, move the decimal from percent to get to the decimal. Then to get from the decimal to the fraction, we would put it over 1 and then multiply it by 10 for every decimal place value we have. But, so let's kind of go over this real, that we can kind of show, right, 1/2. Well, if we were to draw a number line, right, and we have 0 to 1. And then let's do also another number line, 0 to 1 for our decimal. We'll put 0.5 in the middle. This will be 1/2. And then we go 0 to 100% with 50% in the middle. Well, let's kind of also fill in a little bit more. So we have 1/4 here, or we have 0.25, right? And right here would be 25%, and here would be 3/4. This would be 0.75, and this would be 75%. Well, if we were to represent this first as a fraction, we would put it right here. If we want to represent 0.5, we're going to put it right here. And then this 50%, here's where the dot would go. So you can kind of see how these all mean like the same value. They represent the same numbers, right? If we were to say 1/2, 0.5, or 50%, it all has the same kind of weight to it. And then you can kind of see on a number line how they are all like the same, because we represent, right, a fraction that's 1/2, 0 to 1. Also, 0.5 would also represent it from 0 to 1. And then for percentages, we go 0 to 100. So now we can kind of like visually see this as you will be doing similar problems like this in WAMAP. So you can kind of see, right, even like how 1/4 is the same as 25%, or 0.25, or like 3/4 would be then 0.75 or 75%. And then we can draw other ones. So if this was, say, 1 over, say, 10, well, this would be 0.1, or it could be 10%. So this would also be a representation, right? You can do all the math from, for going from a fraction to a decimal. You just take 1 divided by 10, get 0.1, move the decimal over to the right twice, and we get 10%. So this is kind of visually just to see how they all look like, say, like on a number line, and how they're all very similar, and how we can kind of go back and forth, and this is how it kind of ties all together. And then you'll do problems very similar to this in WAMAP.